Everybody, now we've got the incredible Tim Story joining us today.
Hey guys.
Hi, Tim. Thank you so much.
Oh no, this is awesome.
We've got a bunch of fans here who loved your movie and think that they want to know how you created a tornado of animals.
Oh, what a cool that was. And it's so funny that idea was not in the script. We kind of figured out when these animals fight and they're going to run around and do whatever they're going to do. We needed something that would cause more destruction, and I'm pretty sure the kids parents, you'll love to know that we figured out a way to cause more destruction. So if your kids want to use this to destroy things, you really, you're welcome. So we needed a way to instead of them just moving furniture, and as you saw in the hotel room, we knew we could destroy a room, but we tried to figure out how can we destroy a hotel lobby. And so the idea of a tornado, because they are cartoon characters, came up, and so we started doing some effects work. And then on set, we took a wind machine. Sometimes we would take wire to, say, a lamp or a chair, and we would pull it out the way. And then when Michael is running around the whole place, we would set up a wire or a leash to a wire that had a pulley system that went up into a corner and came back around. And so literally guys would pull it so that he would fly through the room. And once he would fly through the room, later we would put in the tornado, which was completely CGI. There was never an actual tornado on the set, so you know.
Movie magic.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's got some questions for you, so I'm going to call on them one by one and let them ask their questions.
Sure.
First, we're going to start with Amy Fulcher from As the Bunny Hops.
Hello. So
Hey.
I loved the wedding in the movie. I thought it was beautiful. I think anybody minus the animals would love having that wedding.
Come on, you gotta love the animals. Come on.
Well, maybe not the elephants. Everybody knows planning a wedding in real life is really challenging. I want to know about the challenges of planning a wedding in a movie.
Wow. Well, first is kind of what type of wedding it is. So we had an Indian wedding in this one, and what's great about Indian weddings, and I guess like most cultures, they are really lavish. They're really big. They're really colorful. There's just a lot of things they bring to it, and of course, what they sometimes have is animals. And so it was, now mind you, there was never elephants on set, obviously, but it was kind of the same thing. We picked out, I think what most brides probably go through. We picked out colors. We picked out dresses. These dresses that the bride as well as some of the bridesmaids wore, they had to be made. So we had to pick them out very early in advance and did a lot of picture pointing and saying, hey, let's have this and have that. And literally it was almost like without, I guess I could say there was a guest list too, because then we had all the extras we had to pull in. And we had to dress all of them and kind of figure out, what type of friends would this couple have. So there's a lot to it that's actually like a wedding. And I'm pretty sure it costs much more than normal weddings. And then of course, after that, then we of course have to do lighting and figure out how we're going to shoot it. But we kind of did it much like you would do any type of wedding and had to have multiple versions of everything. So anytime you saw like a centerpiece on a table or any of this, we had to have 3 of them or 4 of them because we had to destroy it. The same thing with the cake. We had 4 cakes. So one cake was styrofoam with icing on it so that we could just have it there whenever we needed to. And the other 3 were like the top 2 layers were kind of made of cheesecake. So that when Ken Jeong beats up the cake, pieces of it would fly everywhere. So it's there's a lot of the planning of the wedding.
Thank you so much.
Great. Next, we have Drew and his son from Ben Spark Adventures.
Hi, Tim.
Hey there.
We watched the movie the other day, really enjoyed it. I grew up on Tom and Jerry, so I love how you hit a lot of the classic beats where you had, the bowling ball in the fingers. You had the part where he's holding his little hands together and looking at it. What was one of those classic things that you wanted to put into the movie but that didn't get in?
Oh, good question. Oh, there was a great question because there was a few of them. Um, there was one classic one where Tom would run into a wall and he would freeze and his whole body would break into pieces and
Yep.
and drop down. Like that's one idea that we couldn't get in. We had another one where Jerry set his feet on fire, and he ended up flying into the air on fire, with smoke trailing him.
Right.
I couldn't do that one, but we were close to it. There was another one where he I'm not sure if I didn't really take this from an umbrella, but from one of the cartoon episodes, but where he swallows an umbrella and it opens up inside of him, making him look like a huge umbrella. So,
but you did get the fish, so that was good. You got eating that whole fish. My son actually had a question while we were watching the movie, and I think you kind of touched on it. But Andy, do you want to ask your question? Okay, well, he had the question of how do you get like the animals to work with the people? And I think you said something like with the wires and just like a lot of
here's
movie
something
magic.
here's one thing I haven't told you guys yet is we had a puppeteer on set. So the character of Tom actually was a grayscale puppet. I wish I had a picture of it, but it was a grayscale puppet of Tom. And with that, a puppeteer would stand in for Tom and he would be off to the side. So Tom, the puppet of Tom, would be about 1.5 feet away. And the actors would work with the puppet. And many times the actors wanted to do the first couple of takes with the puppet because because Tom didn't talk, it worked out perfectly to do the scene with it. So that's one way we did it. And then anything with Spike, there was actually a guy on all fours who had knee pads, and he was a puppeteer as well. And he ran around the room and barked and did everything we needed so that especially Michael Pena, who does most of the stuff with Spike, would have somebody to play off of. So we definitely did that.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. Our next question is going to come from Taddy from Cool Mom Cool Tips.
Hi, thank you so much
for being here
today. We really, really enjoyed the show. And again, I loved how we were able to share what we love with our kids, at least in my case. I was a big fan of Tom and Jerry, and now I'm trying to convert my kids to be fans as well. So my question is, Tom created this very elaborate trap to get Jerry. Was that inspired off of the cartoons? Was there something else that you had to bring in because you had to actually make this and it's not CGI or cartoon?
Well, the great thing about it is it was inspired by Tom. Tom would always do too much when he's trying to catch Jerry. He would always elaborate and make it just more difficult than it needed to be. So in this idea, although there wasn't a specific one that I remember taking this whole contraption that we created, but it's definitely inspired from some of the things Tom would do. We created this, and I just thought that we've got to go on and on. Like every time we would add a piece, we would go, then what if, we just had to make it the most ridiculous thing you could ever do. And kids, you should try it. No, I'm just kidding. But we just kept, and what was also great is because they were in a hotel, we just kept thinking about what is in a hotel that we can grab. And, that iron and, maybe not, I don't know where the teeth came from, but, we would just keep pulling out stuff. Now, what's awesome for you to say is that trap was completely CGI. There is nothing real about that trap. So the fact that you said that makes me smile because we never built that actually. So all of it is completely fake.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, our next questions could come from Danielle and her kids from Della's Jubilation.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey there.
How are you? We love the movie.
Oh, I'm so happy you did.
As New Yorkers, we love having the opening scene with the pigeons flying above the city and them rapping to Can We Kick It?
Yeah.
Some of the tunes that you have on the soundtrack were with like Jagged Edge and T-Pain and Flo Rida. What made you decide with the music supervisor to choose those types of songs?
Well, I always went back to New York and just tried to think of New York. And what I often know is that, especially some of the things like Can You Kick It, it always seems to bring a smile to people's faces.
Yeah, I was
Um,
dancing.
yeah, I think whether you're a kid and you've never heard it before, it's a fun track. And for my generation, or our generation, I should probably say, you kind of get this nostalgia kind of thing going on. And I just found that it always made everybody smile, and that's all we did. I tried a couple of different songs in all these spots, and I was able to, before COVID happened, I was able to test the movie with a few, small audiences. And I would just try songs, and every time I saw everybody's head bumping and smiles
Right.
would come, I just tried it out, and it's stuck. And because that song was in the movie, it's been in the movie. It was probably the second song I tried, and I never changed it. And then
Oh,
other
fun.
things like Jagged Edge. I did the video for Jagged Edge for that song. So that was
Really?
kind of a personal little thing I threw in.
Uh,
So there's little things like that you bring back.
love it, love it. And then Tristan had a quick question for you.
My favorite characters are Tom and Spike. What are your favorite characters?
Wow. I'm a big Jerry fan just because Jerry's got a swag to him that's just kind of, nothing bothers Jerry. It's really interesting. And then of course there's characters that, and then I'm a big fan of Droopy, so that's why we had to kind of just,
Yes,
I don't
my
know if you guys
husband
saw
spotted
Droopy
him.
in there. Yes.
Totally.
So we threw Droopy in there. I'm a really big fan of Droopy. So and then there's others we didn't even get a chance to get to. So hopefully if we do a second one, there's some other, Jerry's got a strong cousin that beats up Tom a lot. So there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's a lot of characters, but those are my favorite, Jerry and Droopy.
And Droopy, definitely. Thank you so much. It was really fun.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Great. We've got a couple more questions before we got to move on to the next group. So let's keep it going. We've got Michelle Carroll from Kid Congeniality.
Hi. I just
Hey.
want to thank you, first of all, because it's about 40 years later and I start watching the movie and I'm automatically feeling bad for Tom. I'm just like so on his side. It's amazing how that feeling just comes back. But, we live in New York City and we loved seeing Tom and Jerry run around the city. It was just so much fun. And at one point, Tom and Jerry wind up at Sutton Place Park right across from the bridge. And that is literally outside my window. We live across the street.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, we were so excited. So my question is, how did you manage to animate New York City so vividly, beautifully, and on point? It was amazing. We loved it.
Well, first of all, it was very important to go to New York. Now, we never shot on New York, so I never took actors and things like that. But I did a couple of trips. I have, been to New York quite a few times, but I took a trip specifically for the film because when you're making a movie and you're going to use New York in a certain way, it's great to go there and actually be there for the thing you're doing. And so we did that. And then and we just kind of figured out places around the places around the place that we could use, and then we would literally take we would send the camera guys out there to shoot those specific places, and they would take puppets, they would take maquettes, and we would line up the shots. And so it was just really important for us to do that. And then of course what's really interesting is by doing that, anytime we were outside the hotel and on the streets where you actually saw our actors, that was all in London. And we took the backdrop of one of the movies, Fantastic Beasts. We took that old city, they converted that, which was an old New York. We converted that into present day New York, and literally put the backdrop of the real New York in. And so we had big green screen. I wish I had some of these pictures to show you, but we had big green screens and blue screens at the end of the street, and we would put in actual footage of New York. So we always made it a point to come back to New York because there's no place like New York. You can't fake it. You have to really,
Well, that is so cool. And this is, I'm trying to hold it up, but I can't, but I actually took a picture of the park. So we're going to go out there later and take a picture of us pretending to be Tom and Jerry. Thank you so much.
Great. You're
Okay, you guys, We've got time for one more question. I'm so sorry that time snuck away from us, but it's going to be from Shay and her daughter really quickly. Thanks, Shay.
Go ahead, Raya.
If you had to choose from Spike or Toots, which one would you choose?
You said Spike or?
Toots. Cat.
You know, I'd have to go with Spike. I just
I
like.
go with Toots. I like cat.
You like Toots. Okay.
You like Spike.
That's great.
Yeah, we have the whole dog cat thing all the time.
I love it.
So I wanted to ask, what was your absolute favorite scene to shoot?
Favorite scene was the hotel destruction, just because that reminded me so much of Tom and Jerry, and I just had a ball doing it. It was just when you know, kids, when you get to mess up something and nobody gets mad at you, you know.
Right.
Do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.